Hi artists, art teacher Abby here, ready to make some more art with you today. We are making some newspaper sharks from our summer box, which is all about using recycled materials in creative ways to give them a repurpose and a new life in our art. So we're gonna get started here. You got a stack of things in your Artful Seeds box that you're gonna need for this project, and I'm gonna start with these. They look a little bit like newspaper. They're actually white pages, which are often recycled because we don't really use them anymore. Your grown-ups in your life can probably tell you more about what these are for, but they often end up in the trash or the recycle bin. So this is a great type of paper to use for recycled art making. So I'm gonna put this stuff to the side, and for now, to get started, I'm gonna get my white piece of paper out, and I've poured my blue and teal paint into some little cups for me to use, and you have some some plates for you to put your paint on. So we are going to get started, and you're gonna just paint this paper any way you want, but we're trying to make it look like waves or water. And so what we're gonna do there is we're gonna start with our paint. I'm just gonna go back and forth, and you might wanna put something down on your surface that you're working on so a grown-up can help you do that, but you might get some paint on the table or wherever you're painting today, so be mindful of that. But this is a good washable paint, but it does sometimes get messy. So we're gonna paint some, I'm gonna start with some dark blue layers here, and then I'm gonna get some light blue and do some coats of light blue on top. And I'm gonna just kind of paint this on thick, so it has some thick layers. I'm gonna use my fork and actually scratch into my surface. I'm gonna make some wavy textures. You can kind of see the really cool textures that creates. It kind of looks like water and waves, and it's fun to play with a fork. So you can, add some textures. You can use the prongs of the fork. You could scrape on the side if you wanted to kind of mix and match. You could dip your fork in your paint. So I'm gonna dip it in there, and I could paint. Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna paint some more dark lines and textures. Look at all those great textures I'm getting. Isn't that awesome looking? I like how the dark blue looks on top of the light blue, and then you can kind of see that first layer we made before we used the fork on the lighter color. I'm just gonna kind of scratch away, add some texture. I can always use my brush again. I might dip in my lighter color blue, add some texture that way. There we go, look at all that. Really awesome textures of paint. I like the blue and the teal together. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna actually set this off to the side and let this dry while we start cutting out all of our shark pieces. And then we'll use this towards the end when it's dry. Okay, so while our wavy paper is drying, we're going to start working on our shark. So I'm gonna take one of these pieces of our white pages here that kind of look like newspaper, and you could do this with newspaper as well. I'm going to take one of these, and I'm going to put my blue paper vertically, so portrait style, up and down, and I'm just going to kind of cut a large shark head shape, so kind of a rounded triangle. And I think I might actually do this paper upside down just so that it gets a little bit more abstract where you can't really tell as easily what this is. So I'm kind of making a rounded triangle side here. I'm going to kind of mimic that shape on this one. And if you need help with this, you can always ask a grown-up for some help. But you can make your shark head look any way you want. So mine looks like this, and see, it's not perfectly even, and that's okay. I don't think that matters. Now, if you wanted it to be perfectly symmetrical, you could have folded your paper first and cut both sides at the same time. But I'm going to just kind of leave mine a little wonky like that, because sometimes I think it's fun when it looks that way. And then I'm going to take my black piece of paper and I'm going to create a mouth shape. And your mouth shape can look any way you want. It can be a big smile shape, it can be a big circle shape, it can be an oval, any way you want, you can make that mouth shape. So I think I might make mine like kind of a grin, but like an open mouth grin, like you see sometimes in cartoons. So maybe like this. That's probably going to be too big for my shark, so I'm probably going to have to cut that down a little bit. That's why we start with the head first, so you know what size to cut the other stuff. Maybe like that. I think that could be kind of funny if you had like a big smiley grin like that. So that'll be my mouth, and then you're just going to use your white paper to cut out teeth, and you can make as many teeth as you want. And for this part, I think I'm going to fold it in half this way. So I did corner to corner and I creased the middle. Then I'm going to fold it in half again. So corner to corner. I'm going to crease the middle like that, so that I can cut more than one tooth out at a time. So, and you can draw this out first if you need some guidelines before you do these types of cuts. You can always grab a pencil. Let's see if I have a pencil that's working here. You can always grab a pencil and draw the triangle shape out, but you don't need to do that. You can just cut a triangle shape like this. Cut a couple triangles out like that. Now, because we folded it, they're all stuck together, so what we have to do is then cut the crease like this, so that I get extra teeth shapes. And again, if you need help with any of this, just ask a grown-up for some help. Now I've got two stuck together there again, so I got to cut the crease. And you could have cut your paper into strips first. I'm gonna see how my teeth are looking here and how many more I might need. So I'm gonna make this shark have lots of silly teeth. Like that maybe. Oh, I think I might have enough there. How are your teeth looking? That's so silly. I like that. I think he looks kind of goofy silly. Kind of a silly shark cartoon almost. So I'm going to use that for my teeth there. And then once you have your shark head, your mouth, and your teeth, you're going to glue it all down to your light blue piece of paper that came in your box. So I'm going to start that with that. I'm going to grab my glue brush and some glue, and you can use one of your plates to put some glue on, or you can just if you don't have a plate to put glue on, something that you can do to kind of help smooth things out is you can drip some glue on, and then you can use your brush to kind of smooth it out. And what I like to do, or the reason why I like to do this sometimes, is because sometimes it'll make things a little less wrinkly when you're gluing. If you have a glue stick at home, you could also just use a glue stick. And then I'm just gonna kind of press my shark down. Okay, I might need some more glue there. And then sometimes when it gets, because of this thin paper, when it gets bumpy on the edges, it doesn't want to stay. So what you can do is get some glue on your brush, and you can actually brush some glue on the outside and kind of help it stick down a little bit. And my brush might have been a little wet, which is also making it a little bit harder to stick. So, and then, yeah, we'll kind of just let that dry there for a second. And then we will get out our little mouth. And glue our mouth down. And your mouth can go anywhere you want, if you want it up high or down low. We probably don't want it to go too low though, because we're gonna end up putting some waves over our shark with the paper we made earlier. So just kind of be thinking about where you're placing things so that you have room. But it is your art, so you can do this however you want. If you want to do a really low mouth and you want to do waves up here, you could do that. I'm just going to glue all of my teeth down. How's your shark looking? I bet his silly teeth look great. And I got one more tooth to do. That. That's pretty silly, isn't it? So now I need to grab some of my googly eyes. And you should have gotten some googly eyes in your little Artful Seeds bag. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back of my googly eyes and stick them. And this is kind of the fun part, is you can really make your shark character look silly by where you put the eyes. So you could put them really wide, you could put them both together, you could put them up high. Anywhere you want to do it could be a lot of fun and look silly. So now we are going to, while our paint is still drying, we've got some blue tissue paper. And you can cut or tear tissue paper. I might try tearing and see what that looks like first, and then decide if I want to, because sometimes when you tear it gets really uneven, and that can kind of look like cool, kind of a cool wave texture. So I'm going to just do a couple layers of that. There we go. I'm going to start with this, and then I'll be able to add some more in with my painted papers once those dry. So I'm gonna wait to glue these down, because I like to kind of play with all my layers and figure out how I want things to look before I glue. So I'm going to wait and come back to this when my paint is totally dry. So I'll see you very soon. All right, my water fork painting is all dry. I actually used my blow dryer, my hair dryer, to make sure it was all the way dry. And I'm going to, just like my tissue paper, I'm going to just rip some of it. Oops, I'm going to rip some paper and just kind of create some different pieces. Ooh, look at this, artist. Look at what's happening here. See this ripped edge? What does that remind you of? Yeah, it reminds me of the white part of the waves. That's pretty neat, isn't it? Maybe let's try that again on this side. Yeah, that's giving us some good kind of interesting wave textures. So I'm going to kind of figure out here if I want to use like a big section of my painted papers there, and then maybe layer some tissue paper in. I might do like a lighter color behind it. do, let's see what else we've got here. Got a little bit of like that. Oh, look at that. Doesn't that look like big waves? Like this giant shark just popped out of these big waves. That looks pretty cool, artist. Okay, I do kind of like some of this darker tissue paper I have too. So I might do a ripped dark piece of tissue paper. Maybe in the front? Nah, maybe in the back. Let's see what it looks like in the back. So if I do some dark paper and then some lighter paper and then these colors, like that. That looks pretty cool. Maybe I'll do another kind of a medium dark color. Actually, I might use the rest of this dark color here at the bottom. Yeah, something like that could be cool. I could also play around with having waves up here. If you want it to look like he's swimming through the water, you could put some of your wave pieces at the top. You could put it around. You could go back and actually paint this paper with your fork and your paints if you wanted to. That is the fun part about these projects, is you can do it any way you want, and there's no wrong way to do it. It's your art, it's your shark. So I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on this part here. And I'm gonna kind of start that layering process. I'm gonna kind of smooth it out with my hands and kind of just follow that pattern that I had before. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. There's no wrong way to do it. So if it doesn't layer exactly the way I had it before, that's not a big deal. Just kind of do it that way. And I'm gonna glue some of this paper down. Now this paper is heavier that we painted on, so you might need a little extra glue for that paper. And then I'm gonna put some glue on my tissue paper piece here. And notice how my papers are kind of going outside the edge of my blue piece of paper. That is totally fine. You could leave it if you kind of like that edge and the way that it looks, or you could kind of flip it over and cut some of the extra off the back. So that part's kind of up to you and what you want it to look like. Put this last piece down at the bottom here. There. So I've got my fun shark picture here. And I'm gonna let all this dry. And again, I could leave these edges that aren't perfect, or when it's dry, I could flip it over and a grown-up can help, or you can try to just cut these extra pieces off that line up with the edge of the paper. But look how fun our shark is. He's silly and goofy, and he's splashing through those awesome textured waves we created with our fork paintings and our tissue paper. That's so fun. Awesome job, artists. I bet your sharks turned out amazing. And I will see you next time when we make some more art. Bye.